Thank you. Thank you so much.
I didn't know how to find it, so I just kind of Googled the answers. I hope that's not cheating.
It's not, but the truth is the answers are right on the page. Almost all of them.
I had everything except for these ones.
Those ones are right, we had to discuss. But that'd be interesting to me to see what you got for those. Thank you, Steve. Very good. Let's see if I have comments here. Okay, so very good. It's an interesting question. If you look at the Mefarshim, when are the first Perushim that we have in our Jewish tradition? Where do we have the first commentaries? We talked about it once.
5, 6, and 7.
That makes a lot of sense. That's definitely true when it comes to Mefarshim of the Talmud. They can only come after the Talmud. But if we're speaking about Parshanim, who are going to give commentary to the Tanakh, what's the earliest commentary we have to the Tanakh?
Onkel 4.
Exactly, it's even in 3. Onkelos, he lived at the end of the... I have to check, but I think it may even be before 4.
It was 8.
Year 8, that was the year of his death. I see. It's on the border between 3 and 4. The first commentaries we have are even before the sages. In the period of the Zugot, we have the Torah was translated into Greek. Heard of this? What's it called? They said 70 elders were put in rooms in order to translate the Torah, separate rooms.
Yes.
It's a miracle they came out with the same thing.
Is it not,
So the 70 in Greek is the Septuagint. Septuagint. That's the translation into Greek of the Torah. So this was in the end of the Second Temple period. So the translations of the Torah was during the Greek period, which is, of course, as you can see, the Second Temple, period number 3.
what means Pentateuch?
What is Pentateuch? What is Pentateuch? Pentateuch is from the word penta, like the Pentagon, 5 sides.
Okay.
And the truth is, I added one more word I added. See if you can find the one word I added last night. Underneath the word Pentateuch, In the Torah?
Chumash.
Chumash. It's a translation of the 5 books of Moses. It's an extra word we use. Sometimes we call the Chumash the Torah. Sometimes we call it the Chumash. Right, it's a little confusing to use the word Torah because what else do we say is Torah?
The whole entire Tanakh.
That's it. The whole entire Torah, written and oral Torah. This whole Jewish tradition is something that's called Torah. So, and sometimes it's the Tarach. Yeah, you don't need to. That's all I added. I also wrote in, on top of where it says Torah, I wrote in that we have the written and the oral Torah transmitted. And in the period 4, we have the oral Torah written down and developed. So there was oral Torah even before period 4. Don't want to mislead anybody on that issue. Right? We had a discussion of this yesterday a little bit. So there was written and oral Torah that were being transmitted, and ultimately only the written Torah got written down, and eventually the oral Torah got written down in the period of the sages. In 2 ways, 2 structures. What are the 2 structures that the oral Torah got written down?
The Yerushalayim.
No. The 2 structures, the 2 organizations of all the oral teachings. Close. I thought you were going to get it. It's on your page. So it says the Midrash is organized by the books of the Tanakh. And the Mishnah, the Talmud, is organized in 6 categories, in 6 topics. It's a different organizational structure to oral law. May include both halacha and agadah.
So it's Midrash and Talmud.
Midrash and Talmud, correct? Yeah. The beginning of the Talmud is the Mishnah. So you could say Midrash and Mishnah also. But they're both right. Did you get what I redid the page? I added a few things from yesterday. If you want to get it updated, I was just showing you the changes I made, but it's okay. So if you on the other side you have an extra, this you don't have. I added in an extra word, chumash. You know what that means as well. But yeah, so Jordan, you want to show me your work? You were going to show it to me. You said you did your homework. Good for you. Thank you. And
Do you have to make this again? No, by Allah.
It's up to you. I haven't told you that you have to, but it's always good. You didn't translate, I see. It says translate, but it's okay. 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 3. Also, by the way, Kohanim, what period is it? What did you have? What did you write for period for the Kohanim?
3.
On the page, it's 3, right? But I explained to you about Peh that there are Kohanim even earlier. There are Kohanim 1, 2, and 3, right? Good, exactly. But that you would have to have been here. Tanaim. This is a little imprecise. Tanaim are 0 to 200, and the Amoraim are 200 to 500. 5, 6, 7. Torah, Nevi'im, I would say period 1. And for Nevi'im and Ketuvim, it's mixed. It's 2 to 3 for both of them. Oh, thank you. Yeah, so here we need to translate Sidarim. And yeah, you didn't do translations, but you did very well. It's good work.
Thank you.
Here, though, all of these are period 1 through 7. Basically, we have, if you understand what they are, and we have to go through this stuff on the top, all of them are features of the Jewish tradition. From time immemorial, we had oral Torah even before period 4. We had Chidush even before period 4. We have Halacha and Agadah throughout our Jewish life and beliefs and ethics and so on and so forth. There's ethics in the Talmud, there's ethics in the Tanakh, there's ethics in the Achronim, there's ethics in the Rishonim. So don't get confused. As a matter of fact, that's why it's on the other page. It's on the other side of the chart. Specifically, all these things pretty much are timeless. All these features of the Jewish tradition cannot be pigeonholed into one or another book or era. You understand my point? All these categories, these definitions,
Constantly evolving.
they're constantly a part of our tradition. Yeah, they're also always had Torah Sheba'al Peh and Torah Shebechtav. We always had Masorah, transmitted tradition. We always had Chidush. We always have Halacha. We always have Agadah and ethics and so on and so forth. At every stage of this Jewish tradition. Anyways, well done.
But I have a question.
But I didn't see yours. Your work? Did you do it last night? I asked you to redo. Oh, you left. You left before the end. I see. Yeah. Okay.
It's actually, we are in a new time actually now, because 2000 is already...
I've been waiting for that question.
But how you call this time now?
What is the most important period of this Jewish tradition?
Chazal.
You know already the answer. What am I looking for, Moshe? You've heard me say this before.
Period 1.
Nope. You already gave 2 answers. You want to guess a third time? Third time you're out. You guessed wrong the third time. That's it. That's the second thing he said. First he said the sages. Good answer because it's very central. The Talmud, I said, is the most important book. And then you said the Torah. Okay, that's the beginning. That's the foundation. Makes sense. But that's not the answer I'm looking for. What do you think, Jordan? What do you think is the most important period of all these periods?
I would probably, if I had to guess, the first period when we got the Torah on one side.
That's a good guess, but that's not what I'm looking for.
I say 1 through 7.
You say 1 through 7? That's also not what I'm looking for. If everybody's special, nobody's special. What's the answer? You give this to Hananel.
7.
Nope. The answer is, what am I looking for? Eitan, you asked the best question.
Now.
Now, there you go. The most important period is period 8. What we're in today. The living Jewish tradition. And how to transfer all this to our Jewish lives in the land of Israel today. That's the most important thing. Okay? So this is not just a class about history.
So we need to
add. Of course you need to add. You need to write a whole new book. I wonder, are you going to write a book of Halacha or Agadah? Are you going to write a book of Chidushim, innovations, or Masorah? Going to write a book of Musar or Emunah? It's up to you. That's the most, man, good answer. I like that. You understand what I'm saying? Okay, Tov. Hananel, did you do the work from yesterday? Did you fill it in? Do you want to show it to me? Today I gave a new copy. If you want, you can just give this to Israel. Another copy. I added a few words. Let me see what you got here. Oh, but you didn't put in the periods. You didn't put in which period of history. Okay, so do that and then bring it into B'ezras Hashem. Let me ask you before we get started on Pesach. When was which period in history was Chanukah? Chanukah. Remember Chanukah? What was the story of Chanukah?
When we smashed the Greeks.
The Greeks.
Yeah.
What did they try to do to us?
Annihilate us.
No, they didn't.
They destroyed all our temples, all our...
The temples.
Yeah.
They tried to annihilate us spiritually, maybe, right? What did they want to make us Greeks?
Yeah, they tried to colonize.
To Hellenize us. So what the Hashmonaim is the revolt, the rebellion, which worked. We fought back, right? We had Jewish independence at the end of the Second Temple. Oh, which period was that in?
3.
You see it?
Yeah.
And the Greeks
In period 3?
The Second Temple?
They didn't destroy it. They defiled it. They desecrated it. Yeah. They put in Greek gods into the temple until the Hasmoneans came. Chanukah. They lit the candles and they fought back. And then they lit the candles.
And there were religious fighters too, the Maccabees.
It was a religious war. It was primarily religious. It wasn't like a Holocaust. It wasn't like we want to kill all the Jews. They wanted to kill our souls. They were happy for us to become Greeks. Become Greeks. We won't kill you. Problem is, the Jews were, some of them, the heroes, were dedicated to their faith. And they were not willing to bow down. And they wanted to keep Shabbat and Rosh Chodesh and Brit Milah. And they were not willing to give in and bow down to the idols. And so therefore they rebelled. And they fought 8 battles until they pushed the amazing, massive Greek empire out of the land. We got some measure of independence. This was in period number, you have it on your chart? Maybe you should write it in, Chanukah, where it says Hasmoneans. Here is a new page, for Pinchas as well.
What was it, like 100 BCE or something?
It's usually minus 163, yeah, 163. It's a new version. There's added words. I keep adding words.
Actually, it is mentioned already. Hashmonaim.
That's right. The word Hasmonean is right in there already. So you know when Chanukah was. Okay, that's the history. When was Chanukah? December? Now it's March already. 3 months later.
Purim. When was Purim?
Oh, when was Purim? That's what I wanted to ask. Right? When was Purim? You the third period, explain. Yeah, good. Third period, you have... Oh, look at the dominant powers in period 3. Greece comes after Persia. So which came first, Hanukkah or Purim? Purim, of course, came first. Purim was in Persia, in the Persian era.
I have a question.
The Greeks overtook the Persian Empire. And then we had trouble with them. But first, when we had the Persian Empire, we had to fight for our survival. Here it was our physical survival. The story of Purim is every man, woman, and child, right? Yes. So they're both first, maybe you would say, at the beginning of the Second Temple era. You could put in Purim.
In what year, you know? What year?
Well, yesterday they just uncovered, or they released, they told us the story, that they found, not too long ago, in Israel, archaeology, in a place called Tel Lachish, they found, not a coin, a piece of clay, and on it had writing. And the writing, it's unbelievable. The writing was from the Persian king. It mentions King Darius. Darius is Daryavish, who was the father of Achashverosh. The Persian Empire ruled over the land of Israel too. 127 countries, right? That's what it says at the beginning of Megillat Esther. The Persian Empire was pretty much all of the inhabited world. His father, Daryavish, he had a center apparently in this place called Lachish. Very big Persian center that we have remaining. The base of the columns are still there. The rest of it got erased, and we dug deeper because there was earlier sites at the same place. But the person, a regular guy like me and you, went on a tiyul, and he looked on the ground. He sees, oh, this looks interesting, a little piece of clay. Turns out it's 2,500 years old. And it mentions the king, who's the father of Achashverosh. So, yes, at the beginning of the Second Temple time. What year precisely? It's hard to say when the Purim story happened precisely. But it sounds like they were already around minus 500. They were starting to build the Second Temple. That's why we mentioned before, Mordechai was there. Mordechai came with the Jews coming back to the land of Israel, but then we find him in Shushan. What's he doing in Persia? He said he was like AIPAC. He was lobbying for the young state of Israel. He was lobbying for Israel, where the powers that be, in Shushan. So you have Purim at the beginning of the Second Temple period, and Chanukah, minus 160, sort of in the middle of the Second Temple period. Second Temple was built. We were successful, and but then it got defiled. When the Greeks conquered the world from Persia, then they reigned, and they... what do you think? Should I put that into the chart? Hanukkah and Purim?
Yeah.
You think? All right.
But in the end, you put everything on the chart.
There's just too much, right? But there's a little room here, I see. There's a little room, so you're going to get a new copy another day. Yeah.
I have a question. You probably already said this, but why do we divide it into periods and not just say the year or the century?
Yeah, it's a good question. That's my innovation, because I think it's too hard to remember numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, I think we can remember. But if you remember the dates, it's even better. These are approximate dates. I just noticed at one point in time, when I was trying to understand Jewish history, that it might be easier to remember if we put it into, defined periods of 500 years each. It works pretty well. First temple is about 500 years. Second temple about 500 years. Period of Chazal around 500 years. Each one, and then the Gaonim, the Rishonim, Machon, it just works. So I figured, hey, why not use that so that we can remember and understand what's going on. Okay? So we know when Purim is and we know when Chanukah is. And when was Pesach?
When we fled Egypt?
It's in there, right? You see, Exodus. It's in the first period, of course. We don't know precisely. I'm anticipating your question, Eitan. When exactly? You asked me when exactly was Purim. I can't give you an exact date. When exactly was Yetziat Mitzrayim, the Exodus from Egypt?
First period.
It's first period, but I can't give you an exact date. There are books written on the subject. There's earlier dates, there's later dates, anywhere from minus 1250 to minus 1450. There's different opinions about who the Pharaoh of the Exodus was. Yes?
Are any of the pyramids that we, the Jews, built still standing in Egypt? And that we could pinpoint them exactly built by us?
What a great question. It's really a common thought that we know that we were slaves in Egypt, and we know that there's lots of pyramids built in Egypt. But most historians understand that the pyramids were not built by the Jews. We were slaves at a different period. The pyramids, I can't remember if they came earlier or after, but I don't think it's from the time when those 200 years where we... well, minus 400 to minus 1200, somewhere in there was the Exodus. We're not sure exactly when, but I don't think that's when the pyramids
built.
are dated to. Yeah. So I don't think we built the pyramids. It does say in the Torah that we built cities, storage cities, it says, for Paro, Pitom, and Ramses. And of course, Ramses is the name of the powerful king, one of the most powerful Egyptian kings. And the city exists until today. We have the archaeology from the city of Ramses, but we don't know exactly, when the Jews were there and what, if we can see anything they built. There's no sign that says this was made by Abraham. Moses was here. We haven't found that yet. Although there's all sorts of indications it's not quite. Anyways, we're going to talk about Pesach. We celebrate the formation of the Jewish people as a nation when they come out of Egypt. That's at the Exodus. And then, of course, we celebrate Sinai as well, the first period. So we're going to go back 1,000 years in history, approximately 1,000 years in history. We're talking about Purim, which is the beginning of the third period. And then we're going to go back and talk about the Exodus, which is somewhere in the middle of the first period. So we go back almost 1,000 years earlier. Some people might be tempted to call it prehistory, like the period before the forefathers, about the flood and the Garden of Eden, and who knows if that's actually history or metaphor. But once we get to the Exodus, pretty much we're talking about a Jewish nation. Okay, so that was some additions I made, some changes I made to the... Yeah. Okay, ready? Okay, so let's go to the laws of Pesach. Transition over to Pesach. Before I forget, it's Erev Shabbat. It's Thursday. And we also need to sing a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Israel, how are you? Doing well? You're looking happy. That's good. Amazing. Good. Can you get us the Birkonim from the Thank you. We're going to sing a song, Chvot Shabbat. These are usually used at the Shabbat table. These they could be called Zmironim, because you sing Zmirot. Zmirot are songs. Or they're used for saying the brachot. For today, let's take a look at the bracha, actually. I taught you one of the brachot on Tu B'Shvat, on the last page. The last page, 189. 188 and 89. Beautiful pictures of those grapes, I think. Grapes and lemons. And oranges. Yeah. Borei Nefashot. That's right, the Borei Nefashot. If you look on the previous page, page 187, 186 and 87, that's the beginning of the bracha after food called Al HaMichya, or in Hebrew, bracha me'ein shalosh. It's the three blessings. I taught you the song before. The words are here. V'ha'aleinu letocha. Can you see where I'm pointing now? On page 187. After we say the bracha, in the middle, the words are from the middle of the bracha after eating cakes or cookies. What else do you have to make this special bracha for? It says on your page. After eating wine or grape juice, right? Or figs, olives, pomegranates, and dates. The special fruits which the land of Israel was blessed with. So this is a special bracha only if you have either cakes or cookies, or wine, or these pomegranates and figs and dates or something like that. We make this special bracha, and there's a song that I taught you. I just want to review it with you today. Everybody see where I'm going to start? V'ha'aleinu, the word v'ha'aleinu. I think for Tu B'Shvat, I gave it to you on a piece of paper with the English, right? V'ha'aleinu letocha. Now the next line. V'samcheinu b'vinyana v'nochal mipirya v'nisba mituva. From the top. The previous line. V'ha'aleinu letocha. Now it's the next line. V'samcheinu b'vinyana v'nochal mipirya v'nisba mituva. Next words. Unevarechecha aleha b'kedusha u'v'tahora b'kedusha u'v'tahora. We repeat again. Unevarechecha aleha b'kedusha u'v'tahora b'kedusha u'v'tahora. From the top now. Ve'ha'aleinu letocha ve'samcheinu bevinyana ve'nochal mipirya ve'nisba mituva. Who here has not yet made aliyah? You have not made aliyah. You have not made aliyah. Everybody else made aliyah. Gabi, you made aliyah. Amazing. Wow. So, how can we pray? V'ha'aleinu. You hear the word aliyah in there? It means elevate us, bring us back there. Bring us back there. Bring us to the land. Ha'aleinu letocha. Bring us into the land. Here we are in the land of Israel. How can we pray this from the heart without lying? Here we are sitting in Jerusalem. Why do we ask, oh, please bring us into the land? We're in the land already. What's the answer? What do you think of when you pray this? Please bring us into the land. So those of you who didn't make aliyah yet, maybe you're saying, oh, please let me get my Teudat Zehut. Let me get my visa. But those who already have a visa, what do we pray? What are we praying for? You have a Teudat Zehut.
Maybe aliyah for your soul.
Maybe aliyah for your soul, but it says, bring us up into it. We're talking about the land of Israel. We're in the land of Israel.
Maybe they mean like, they know you are here, but to learn more Torah and everything.
Maybe, but you're making stuff up now. You know, what does the word say? Bring us into it. Ha'aleinu. That's the plural. Into it. Bring us as plural. Anybody want to guess?
Would it be
Bring us back to Jerusalem?
Jerusalem's a good idea. What did you say?
the third temple? Rebuilding
Building the temple, that's true. The previous sentence says, rebuild Jerusalem swiftly in our time. Not a wrong answer. But, what do you say?
They mean like all the Jews.
There you go. Plural. That's in plural.
All the Jews.
Believe it or not, as much as Israel is the largest concentration of the Jewish people today in the land. Please, Bakasha. Shalom, shalom. Boker tov. Over here. It's for you.
It's for me?
Yes, for you, of course.
handing out hot chocolate?
That sounds good. I would love that. I just have a pink dust, but no hot chocolate. Zman. 5 minutes. אני לא משתמש בזה. Sometimes I play with it. I play with it sometimes. Okay. So, Eitan's absolutely right. All of our prayers are in plural. We pray not only for ourselves, we pray for the entire Jewish people. And it's true, Israel is the largest concentration of Jews today, already. It's larger than the concentration in the United States. But if you put the United States together with England, together with Canada, together with South Africa, together with Russia, it's not the majority of the Jewish people in the land of Israel, yet. And so when we play in the plural, we want every last Jew to come, not just me personally. I'm praying for the entire people. But it's true that in context, you're not wrong when you said, even those who are here, we still need to go up to Jerusalem to rebuild temple, and we have our work cut out for us.
There are
Yeah.
lots of Jews who fight against Israel and are self-hating Jews. Do we want them to come back too?
Yes. I want them all to do tshuva and to be self-loving Jews, not self-hating Jews. There is such a phenomenon. I try to focus on myself first, and focusing on loving all the Jews. And sure, a lot of people need to be straightened out, but the best way to straighten them out is to straighten myself out first. Sure, but we want every Jew possible to come, for sure. And then we all need to get stronger in our faith and in our practice and our religion and our dedication. And we still have a process of teshuvah, a return to do, personally and nationally, in this land. All right? Okay, sounds good? So that was a nice song. When would you say the Alamichya prayer on Shabbat?
After you have your dessert, you have your cake.
It's so interesting. If you have dessert for your meal, usually you say Birkat HaMazon. You had bread, you had challah at your meal, so the Birkat HaMazon covers the cakes also. You don't have to say this.
We don't do this.
You don't.
Because we only have to wait 1 hour, dus we do Birkat Hamazon, wait a little bit, and then we eat ice cream.
I like your custom.
Yes.
I'm not Dutch, so I can't do that custom, but I do the opposite.
Yeah, we also do this.
Why is the opposite better?
Okay.
I have my ice cream first, and then all I have to do is wash out my mouth. And then I can have my meat meal. Some people wait half an hour. But, so every Shabbat I usually say the Alamichya prayer after I have my Kiddush. Usually in the morning, I usually pray relatively early. Sometimes I go to the Vatikin prayer. Israel knows all about the Vatikin at the Kotel. It's very early, 5 in the morning, 5:30 in the morning, 5:30, and then you come home. It's 7:30, 8. You're gonna have a meat meal at 8 in the morning. Some people do. Some people like it, but most people don't. So what do? I have to eat something. I want to drink. You can't drink until you make kiddush. First, after you daven on Shabbat morning, you have an obligation to say the kiddush. People know about kiddush Friday night. Of course, that's the major kiddush, but there's a minor kiddush. It's so minor that we call it major. The sages were afraid that people would not treat it properly, so they called the kiddush on Shabbat morning kiddusha araba, the great kiddush, the big kiddush. It's a euphemism because it's really a tiny little kiddush. All we say is Borei Pri Hagafen, but it's not true. It's not enough just to take a cup of wine and say today is Shabbat, Baruch Atah Hashem, Borei Pri Hagafen. Sorry? Okay. Oh, feel better. Thank you.
Yes.
Okay. So you have to make kiddush at a meal for it to be considered kosher, halachically. If you make kiddush and you just have a little sip of grape juice or wine, it's not valid. You have to do it again. You have to make kiddush at a meal, and so I have a meal. A meal usually constitutes bread or mizonot. The real meal with meat, the real second meal of Shabbat is going to be a few hours later for lunch, around lunchtime, 12 o'clock. And then I'm going to have wash for bread and have a meal. But for the morning breakfast, usually I don't wash and have bread because I don't like to eat too much bread. But I have to have some mezonot. Have some cakes or cookies, something made from the 5 grains. And afterwards, I make this bracha. Ala michya, for the nourishment and the sustenance. But I also have wine or grape juice for the vine and the fruit of the vine. So I say both. You see on page 186? Everybody have a, Michael, take one of these benchers. Take one of the benchers. One of the birkonim. And look at page 186. We're looking at the ala michya, the blessing after the food. And it's a little bit like a shortened version of the Birkat Hamazon, of the full thing, which we only say when we have bread. But here we have grain products made from, but not bread or matzah, because then you'd be saying the full thing. For the nourishment and the sustenance, but then I say for the vine and the fruit of the vine. And at the end as well, you turn the page and see the end of the blessing. First of all, at the bottom of the page you say, Uratzei v'achletzenu. There's a special added line. It says on Shabbat, you add that line. Be pleased to refresh us on this Sabbath day. And then when you turn the page, the ending of the blessing is also 3 different versions on page 188. Page 188.
188.
Yeah, one more. One more. In between there. 188. You see there's 3 columns on page 188. There you go. 1, 2, 3. The left column is after you had grain products. Middle one is after wine or grape juice. And the last one is if you had grapes, figs, and olives. So you add in whichever sentence is appropriate for the food you ate. So if I had cake and wine, so I say, and for the nourishment. Actually, if you look underneath the 3 columns, they put it together for you. In the sentence line at 8, from the top of the page, it says after grain products and wine and grape juice. You see that? I guess it's a common thing to put them together. So they put them, and for the nourishment and for the fruit of the vine. Blessed are you, Lord, for the land and the nourishment and the fruit of the vine. You put them all together. Okay? The truth is, most of the time, I have to, you see those stars? There's a star which takes you to the bottom, the footnote, and says, if the wine is from Israel, then substitute her vine, the land's vine, instead of the vine. Gafna. Al pri gafna, not al pri hagafen, but al pri gafna. We replace gefen with gafna. It's vine. It's the fruit of its vine, because we're praising Hashem for we have wine from the land of Israel for the first time in centuries. I read a story once when the Netziv of Volozhin, he received as a gift from somebody coming from the land of Israel a bottle of wine made from grapes that grew in the land of Israel. He was so excited, he made a bracha. Not Borei Pregafen. He made Shechianu v'kimanu v'giyanu l'zman hazeh. Bracha that you make of joy, because it was such a rare occurrence. For hundreds and hundreds of years, there was no Jews growing grapes in the land of Israel. And to have grapes grown from wine from grapes grown in the land of Israel was such a treat. Now, 99% of the wine that I drink is all from the land of Israel. There's great wine industry in Israel with many different boutique wineries, and wine in Israel wins prizes all over the world for the quality of its wines.
Which Israeli companies get these prizes?
So many of them. All of the big Israeli, Golan, and even the small ones like Psagot, and of course Kalman Mizrahi and Tepperberg. There's so many wineries now in Israel. It's beautiful. It's an amazing sign of the redemption.
The best wine in the world they made in Israel, they say.
I say that, but I don't know who they are. Who they say.
Yes, I visited a place in Elon Moreh. There is like a guy, he makes wine.
Yeah, there's a winery there too, yeah.
And he wins something, the best wine of the world. few years.
That's what I was saying, that we win prizes. It's amazing.
What's the name of the best wine in the World Cup?
Well, every year a different wine wins. You know, they have contests all the time. But the fact that the Israeli wines are becoming known as very good wines, it's a sign of the redemption. Our sages say, how do you know that the redemption is coming? What do you think is a sign of the redemption? What would you say? If I had to ask you, how do you know that the redemption is here? What did you say,
Once
Jordan?
Israel becomes a world leader.
Israel becomes a world leader. Good answer. That's not what the sages say. What do you think, Eitan?
When it's like everyone start to hate the Jewish people.
Well, that was pretty much always.
Well, when didn't they hate us?
When didn't they hate us?
When they started
Exactly.
liking us.
Maybe that would be definitely redemption. When they stop
When we
liking
have
us.
trouble.
Start liking us. What do you say, Michael?
I don't know, maybe idea, but when the grapes are ready to harvest,
You're on the right track. You're on the right track. But what would you say? What would you say? What's the sign of the redemption?
Maybe we have abundance in this land.
Very good. Very good.
When we have, what was the answer?
Abundance in this land.
So most people, I think, if you'd ask them, they'd say, "Oh, what's the sign of redemption?" Well, Mashiach, the third temple. There'll be trumpets. I don't know. We'll be wearing biblical sandals, and who knows? We'll be shepherding sheep in the hills of Judea. Well, that's true too, somewhat. But the sages say, you know what the greatest, clearest indication of redemption is? When the land of Israel gives its fruit in abundance.
uh-oh.
Why? We're doing great. We're doing great. It's amazing. Well, we're winning prizes for the abundance of our people are learning from us how to do agriculture all around the world. Why do you think the Abrahamic Accords are going through and we have peace with the Arab nations, some Arab nations? You think it's because they love us so much? Because they became Bali Tshuva? Did they go to Machon Meir? They understand the Torah? They have what to gain from us. They want to learn how to irrigate their fields. They want to know how to. They want to be part of the great success of the economy of the land of Israel. There's no greater sign of redemption than the land of Israel giving its fruits in plenty. Yes.
I actually kind of disagree. I don't think we should give other countries their secrets in the sense of like what makes us more advanced or what's giving us the one up. I don't think we should be giving our secrets away.
I hear you. I think you're very smart,
Yeah.
but I think the most companies have maybe thought of that already. You know, if we have we're up to iPhone 11. What do you do with all your iPhone 9? What is it?
13.
13, excuse me. What do you do with your iPhone 6s and 5s? Then you sell them to the third world countries. In other words, I don't think we're giving us any secrets that we need to keep to be the best. But we have a lot to share, even our last generation or whatever it is of the technology. Don't worry, I don't think that we're going to sell too many of our secrets.
Hypothetically,
Yeah.
Israel's at iPhone level 13,
Yeah.
and every other country's at iPhone level 6.
Okay.
Hypothetically. Why give them our iPhone 10 and 11s when we could just keep them at 6? And we're all the way at 13 and we're way
Well,
better.
because they want to move up. They want to move up.
Why do we have to? Why are we the ones in charge of bringing them up?
It's not a question of being in charge. It's a question of gain. We both gain. We both gain from having the commerce. We want them to buy. We want to have the relations. We want them to. That's one way of making friends is by doing business with them. So we have to make it worth their while. I agree with you. We have to be careful not to give away any secrets. But I'm pretty sure we're not going to give them our most advanced technology. Yes, please.
Yeah, so at least we gotta take the
The
money.
Jews, we give the material, but not the brain.
Very good. Good point. That's right. That's right.
Well, what was the?
You can give your hand, but not your brain.
There we go.
There you go.
So
Exactly.
the irrigation system is the most commercial product nowadays.
Yeah.
But is the third world countries or many other countries produce at the level of Israel?
No. They have
Why?
the technology, but they don't have the.
Intellectually inferior.
Oh, well.
No, don't use this
You already
as
speak
impressions.
Greek, so-
You don't have to make it racial. Just say that you need the brain power together with the technology. You need the brain power together with the machinery. It's not just about machinery. It's not just about brains. It's about development of knowing how to be an entrepreneur, how to be develop things. We have what to learn from other nations too, but there's a lot for them to gain from us. So, Bezrat Hashem. Anyways, we sang one song, and sometimes I sing it on Shabbat. When I have my kiddush in the morning, afterwards I say the Alamichya ve'al pri gafna, and on the thanking Hashem for the fruit, for the vine, the fruit of the vine of the land of Israel. This last Shabbat, I had a very special opportunity, and it's going to be my pleasure for the next few months at least, because this year we have special wine from the land of Israel. Not only is it from the land of Israel, it's from the 7th year in the land of Israel. You know that there's a 7-year cycle that we keep. What's that called? Shemitah. So last year in Israel was the year of Shemitah, and all the grapes that grew were extra holy. The Torah says the fruit of the 7th year is holy, and so we harvested those grapes in a special way, and we made the wine in a special way, and I even bought them. They had to be cheaper than usual, which is always nice. And I had wine from the land of Israel from the Shemitah year. It's holy. And there's rules. You're not allowed to waste even one drop. I have a problem because I always spill. So I have to be very careful if I have the holy wine from the 7th year. Kedushat Shvi'it. Do not spill any. And when I'm going to have my Pesach Seder, we're going to talk about it soon. The Pesach Seder, one of the customs is, when you say the 10 makot, the 10, what do you do with your finger? You dip into the wine and you pour a little off. Some people pour, some people dip. No, you don't have to spread, you don't have to, you don't. No, don't confuse it with the blood in the temple, where they would sprinkle. You're not sprinkling your wine, but you are pouring off a little bit. That's an ancient custom of the Jewish people. You can't do that if it's holy wine, because you can't waste any of it.
You bought
Yeah.
Moshe?
Sorry?
Moshe wine?
Moshe, never heard of Moshe wine. What's Moshe wine? Where is it from? Okay.
Back at the mountains.
Okay.
Outside of Jerusalem.
Nice. I know.
But nowadays you must have a connection.
Oh, I see. Well, I think I have one. I think I just made one. I just made a connection. Okay. Anyways, Yafeh. So what's this Shabbat? This parasha? Oh, I think this Shabbat has 2 names.
Shabbat Tzachor and Shabbat Tetzaveh.
That's right. It's Parashat Tetzaveh. You know, originally we talked about that coming up before Pesach. There's 4 special parashot. Who remembers what they are? Yeah, Eitan, let's hear.
Shabbat
Shekalim,
Shabbat Shachor.
Zachor,
Wait, the last one is Shabbat Hagadol.
Hagadol, and what's in between? The one you forgot?
Wait. Shufra? No. Oh,
Para,
Para.
Shabbat Para. 4 special parashot. In the times of the Mishnah, it sounds like they would not read a regular parsha. Right? We go through one parsha every week. Over the course of the year, we finish it all 54 parshas. We finish parashot. We finish all 54 during the cycle of the year, and so we don't take any breaks except for the holidays. If there's a holiday that comes out on the Shabbat, we don't read the regular parashat Shavua. But these, and I think that in the times of the Mishnah it was like that. That on Parashat Zachor they didn't read any parasha, but we don't do that anymore. We read the next section of the Torah. This week is Parashat Tetzaveh. It starts with the word Tetzaveh B'nai Yisrael. And it's also, we take out a second Torah that has in it the reading of Zachor. Where does that come from in the Torah? Does anybody know where Parashat Zachor comes from? Remember Amalek, where is it from? No, very good. The story happens, the Amalekites came and attacked the Jewish people in the book of Shemot when they came out of Egypt. But what do we read on the Shabbat Zachor? Bring everybody a Chumash, please. You said Dvarim. Why did you say that?
No, I guess.
You were guessing. You were right. You guessed right.
I heard it somewhere.
You guessed right. Look it up. Find Dvarim. Thank you so much. The book of Dvarim, Parashat Ki Tetzeh. It's on page 370. The end of Parashat Ki Tetzeh. Page 380, excuse me. 380. Do we have another one? No, how about that? We'll have to get some from the library. You see that verse 17? It's chapter 26, verse 7.
16 or 17?
25. It's chapter 25, verse 17. Remember what Amalek did unto thee by the way, on the way. See that? Verse 17, everybody with me?
Yeah.
Page 380, yeah? When ye came forth out of Egypt, how he met thee by the way, on the way, we would say today, and smote. I always wanted to smote someone. What does it mean to smote?
Wipe out?
To hit. And he smote you. The hindmost of thee. What's the hindmost of thee? What's your hind? Your behind.
Yeah.
Right? Your behind. 17. How do you say 17?
217?
380.
Huh?
380.
80.
17 coming first.
You didn't have the right page. Okay. So he smote the hindmost of thee. Who's the hindmost of thee? What does that mean?
The women, the children, the elderly.
You could think that. That's a good interpretation.
The slowest one.
He came from the
Where were the Jewish people? What were they doing at this point?
Fleeing.
Well, fleeing, I wouldn't say, because they were
marching.
coming out after God did miracles for them.
Yeah.
So they were not fleeing, but they were leaving Egypt, for sure. They were leaving Egypt, marching through the desert, traveling. And there's always, when you go on a tiyul, there's always the people at the front, people, the big pack in the middle. Then there's some people who are a little slower, a little bit daydreamers. You one of Gabrielle, you one of the daydreamers, you think? Yeah. When you go on tiyulim? The people that are just always the last ones and everybody's waiting for them to come, So they're in the most vulnerable position, right? Because the warriors are all in front.
But we get to rest.
You rest. So what did Amalek do? They came and they smote the hindmost of the weaker ones. Not very noble, right? You're a big, mighty person against the weak ones. It's like a bully, right? He picks on the weak person. He's not really that strong himself. So it says here, the Amalekite, he smote the hindmost of thee, even all that were feeble behind thee, the weak ones, when thou wast faint and weary. Why were we faint and weary? We just come from 200 years of slavery, right? And we were walking in the desert with all of our children, gold and silver, and it's tough. So we were faint and weary, and they took advantage. Why did they take advantage? It's not a nice thing to do. The verse says, and he Amalekite feared not God.
It was just evil.
They were evil, that's it. They had no fear of God. They knew God took us out of Egypt. God wants to protect us. We don't fear God. Amalek is the symbol of those who do not have fear of God in their hearts. I want to tell you a story. When my cousins were escaping from the Nazis in Hungary, it's a good, most of them survived. It's a good end of the story. But they escaped to the forest. They lived in the forest for about 1.5 years, eating berries. But they realized at some point it was getting really, really cold, winter in Europe. And it was a family, 2 parents with, I think it was 8 children, living in the forest. They realized we're not going to survive unless we need some shelter. So they decided to take the risk and reveal themselves and ask for help from a local farmer. So they go up to the farmer, they planned it, they didn't know what to do. They go up to the son of the farmer who was working in the field. And they reveal themselves. Right? He's working in the field, he's harvesting, he's fixing, he's doing whatever he's doing. All of a sudden, a mother appears to him, a Jewish woman, and she speaks to him. I guess she knew Hungarian. She says to him in Hungarian, you know what she says to him? On your heart. Whoa, poor kid. He was just trying to work his job. All of a sudden, do you have the fear of God in your heart? He did. He realized right away what was happening. He went to call his father, call his mother. They decided to hide them in their barn. Guards would come around and find them. But when it got really, really cold at night, they let them sneak into their barn. Every night they slept in the barn. They gave them some bread, some leftover scraps, whatever they could afford. And they helped them out very, very much. And they survived. Most of them survived the entire war. And then they eventually escaped, made their way to Israel, to America. But do you have the fear of God in your heart? I was reminded by when I read this pasuk. Wow.
Well, why was that the opening line? What was the significance?
I don't know. This is what my cousin thought of. This is my cousin. She was my father's first cousin. She was appealing to his religious side. Religion should go together with morality. Save an innocent family because you have the fear of God. What are you going to do? Kill innocent women and children? So she appealed to his sense of decency, to his sense of fear of God. And that was the opening line she chose. Maybe because she read Parashat Zachor. I don't know. She said, are you an Amalekite? This is what she was asking him. Right? She was asking him, are you an Amalekite? Do you have the fear of God in you? Because the Torah says here about the Amalekites, they did not have the fear of God. Yes?
We're not supposed to forget where we come from.
Yeah.
The land of Egypt, we are not better than anybody. Slaves,
right?
Slaves, beat down, killed.
Why are we better than anyone? Why?
He's not. He's agreeing with you. You're agreeing with him. Yeah. He's saying we have to remember that. Sure, by remembering that we have humble beginnings, we should be careful to treat everyone with respect. Right? That's what you're saying. Yeah.
Yes.
I was kind of telling you that.
Are you okay? Go ahead.
No, I'm saying why not?
Why not?
Yeah.
Well, the Torah seems to tell us to remember that we were slaves in Egypt.
Yeah. So teach us to be humble.
Teach us to be humble. Yeah. To teach us to be humble. Don't think that we are better. Now we are better. So what? Are we better or not?
Well,
We're better because we have a special mission to do. We are agents of God in the world. It's not that we're better inherently because we're racist. We're the Aryan race. Sorry, the Jewish race. We don't. That's quite problematic to say that we're the best race.
The Torah says itself,
the master race.
like we're the smallest of every nation.
Don't say we're the smartest of every
They're the
nation.
smallest. They say
We are the smallest, right? Right. Don't think that we're better than anybody else. We have a special status because we're chosen by Hashem to bring His word to the world. We're chosen to act on His behalf, but it's not that we're better than anybody else. Inherently. This is an interesting point. Yeah, Gabriel.
It's good to understand that God made everyone like equally.
Yeah.
If the Jewish people have like a gift from God, it's different, but it doesn't mean we're better. It's just
Right.
like we're the people chosen by God, but God created people.
Right. Good point. It's a fine point to understand. It's very difficult. On the one hand, we say we're all equal. It's true. God created every human being, and therefore we're not better than anybody else. On the other hand, we're full, all of our prayers, we're always saying how much better we are than everybody else. So are we better or are we not? It's a contradiction.
Depends on what you see, like what's better.
Exactly. So we're trying to understand that now. We're saying we're better because we were chosen for this particular task, very important task. Therefore, we are very special. So in some ways, we can say that we are we're very important, most important. But it doesn't mean that. Why are we the most important?
Because we have God's book.
We've God's book. What for, though?
To follow the mitzvot of the Torah.
What for, though?
To follow Hashem's commandments.
What for?
For the purpose of His purpose with the world.
And what's His purpose for the world? To do good.
For
who? For everybody. For everybody. So we're special, but it's all for the sake of everybody else.
Just ask a question.
Please, yeah, go ahead, Benjamin.
Look at your fingers.
My fingers, yeah.
Are they equal?
No.
Which one you're gonna use first? Which one you're gonna use first?
Probably my thumb.
What for?
I could grab things.
How you can grab? What you gonna do with the other four?
I have to cleanse the
You
rest.
can't without this one.
What are you saying, Benjamin? What are you teaching us?
You can't be separate nobody if you don't know them.
I'm not arguing that me individually, I am...
Okay, no, we got you, Jordan. We understand. No, it's a very interesting discussion. It's a good point. Benjamin, you were saying that the fingers need each other?
Yes.
That we need to work... the opposable thumb, they say, was a stage of evolution which was really important. It separates us from many primates, is that we have the thumb, because that enables us to grab things. It's opposite, the fingers. It's opposite the fingers, it's opposite the thing. If you just had the fingers, maybe you could grab things, but it wouldn't be as tight. It wouldn't be secure. Yeah, the thumb is critical. So maybe you would say that the Jews are the thumb of the hand. We're critical, but it's for the sake of everybody's supposed to work together. We want the entire. Yeah, that's it. Give me the thumbs up. Thumbs up should be the Jewish sign, right? We're here for the sake of working together, for the sake of all of humanity, for all of the people. Yeah.
Hashem's guidance to the whole world.
Yeah, I like the way you use the. This is an inflection we usually use in the Talmud. People studying Talmud are trying to analyze things. They use their thumb. It's the Jewish thumb. That's it. Yeah, thank you. Okay, let's go back to Parashat Zachor. We read half of it, but there's one more sentence. This one's very long. It's as long as the first two put together. Verse 19. Everybody see what I'm reading? Chapter 25, verse 19. The end of the parsha of Kitetse, we read it this Shabbat, just this paragraph. And it says as follows. Read it, Eitan. Therefore
it shall be when the Lord the God hath given the rest from all thine enemies round about in the land which the Lord the God gives for inheritance, the process is that thou shalt blot out the remembrance of Amalek from under heaven. Thou shall not forget it.
Thou shalt not forget it. Thou is an ancient version of you. Old Dutch, yeah. Old Dutch. Thou, Old English, exactly. Thou shalt not forget it.
Yes.
Yeah,
Does Amalek still live today?
good question. I've never heard of them. I've searched far and wide. When I had a gun, I was looking everywhere. I wanted to find an Amalekite. Do the mitzvah. It says you gotta erase them. Timchet zecher Amalek. Blot out the remembrance, meaning any remnant of Amalek from under the heaven. But I couldn't find any. There's no more Amalekites. There may be people who act like Amalekites.
Maybe the spirit of Amalek lives through their religion.
Yeah, through their ideology, you could say, for sure. Yeah, Nazism was like a form of Amalekite. So, of course, we have to fight evil. And I think this mitzvah to remember, to blot out. Amalek teaches us that we have to fight evil. There's good and evil.
But it will only happen by kings, I heard one time.
Well, what does it say? Let's go back and read through. What did you read, Eitan? Therefore it shall be, when the Lord thy God hath given thee rest from all thy enemies round about in the land which the Lord thy God given thee for an inheritance to possess it. So there's two things mentioned. We have to rest from all the enemies, and we have to have the land as an inheritance, possessing it. Do we have that yet?
No.
You think we have rest from all our enemies?
No. Enemies is always
We have a big enemy.
We still have a lot of enemies. The IDF needs soldiers. Eitan's going to go into the army soon.
Sarah Michael,
Future chief of staff. What are you talking about? Yeah, who knows? Eitan, Gabriel, you going to go into the army too? In August?
Wow. You don't really want to go?
Search and rescue.
Search and rescue. Nice. Wow. So we have enemies that are attacking us. We have to have an army. We have not rested yet from all of our enemies. And so I guess we don't have to worry about finding the Amalekites yet. Also, do you really think that this is a personal mitzvah? It's a national war from nation against nation, right? It's the Jewish nation. So I think what we have to work towards is that the Knesset should pass a law to outlaw all Amalekites and to fight against the Amalekites. It'd be an easy law to pass because you wouldn't need any budget because there's no Amalekites to fight. But the principle is very important. Who knows? Maybe we'll find one day. But the point is that we have to fight evil and all the people who act like Amalekites. What do you think? What does it say about the Amalekites? That they attack the weary, right? The weary and the weak.
Old women, children.
Yeah. What do you think we call that nowadays?
The weak are the people who do that.
The people who do that.
Sadist.
Close. What word am I looking for? You fight a war. You have your soldiers against their soldiers. Your tanks against those tanks. Nation against nation. Who attacks
Dictators.
women and children?
Muslims.
War criminals.
Give me the right word. What's it called? The type of warfare where people are attacking the innocent civilians.
I forgot.
It's called terrorism. The terrorists, right? That's the definition of terror. Is that you try to strike fear in people's hearts because you attack their weakest.
Yes.
You don't go and attack, we'll have an army, we'll fight you. You go in and try and, what did we have just yesterday, the day before yesterday? Takes a gun and he shoots 2 Jews in their car. And then in 2 days, there was 3 Jews that were just shot. They were innocent, they were defenseless, they were just sitting in their car. Decided to kill a Jew. That's terrorism.
The religion of peace strikes again.
Yeah, exactly. So we have to fight against. You could say the terrorists are like acting Amalekite ideology.
Yeah.
They're attacking the weak. They're attacking the weak. We have to fight against that. Not only in Israel, around the world. Terrorism is what does terror do?
Terrorize people.
Just because one person in a car in Bikat HaYarden, he was shot. I'm afraid to go out of my house in Jerusalem. They want us all to be afraid, not to go about our daily lives. It's the fear that gets you. That's why it's called terrorism, right? It's using the psychology of killing innocents to make everybody afraid.
So don't be afraid, right?
That's the mitzvah. Remember what Amalek did to you. And what the Torah says is you've got to fight against evil. Don't give in to terrorism. Got it? This is what we read this Shabbat after the parsha of Tetzaveh. And then we have a special second Torah. We take out the second Torah and we read from the book of Dvarim. The first Torah we read from which book?
Shmot.
Shmot. Of course. Parshat Tetzaveh is in the book of Shmot. All right. So we're ready for Shabbat. Everybody feel ready?
Yeah.
Okay. We mentioned that you have to, most poskim say you should hear the reading of these 3 psukim from the Torah. You must go to shul to hear it. You can have an extra one.
Yeah.
Brand new one.
Yeah.
I made a few changes to it even.
Again?
Yeah. Always adding new things. I spoke about it in the first few minutes. You were not here. So.
Crown. What is this?
Which one?
Purim.
Purim and Chanukah. We have to add the... Eitan wants me to add more things, but it's not critical.
I put numbers here.
Good, nice. Oh, these numbers from there, you put them into the glossary. You put them into the chart.
If I say
A footnote. Yeah. Nice idea.
What to say?
You could. Yes, nice idea. Nice. We could do that if it makes it easier for you. But the point is to do the work to translate these. I realize there's 40 words here, 40 words in Hebrew, which you have to learn to be able to understand the Jewish tradition. 40 words, maybe the most important 40 words of your life. People start learning Hebrew. What do they learn? Shalom. Ani. Shmi. Menachem. Lama. Matai. Good. A lot of basic words in Hebrew. But if you want to understand Torah, these are the basic words. 40 words. Geonim, Rishonim, Poskim, Chazal, Halacha, Gada. These are the words you need for Torah. Talmud, Mishnah. 40 words in Hebrew. But you can do it. Almost all of you know it off by heart. Next week we're going to have a test. I won't give you all the answers. Now you have all the answers. Right? It's all here. Every word is translated in this chart.
We have to transmit it from here to here.
That's it. Get it in there.
When's the English to Hebrew?
It's all in here. It says forefathers and then avot.
Okay.
Right? And then it says tribes, it says shvatim. Next to each word in English is the word in Hebrew. Anshe Knesset Hagdolah, men of great assembly. It's all translated within the chart. Okay, so work on that and learn the 40 words. Okay? We started to speak about yesterday. We have a little bit of time left about Pesach. We started to do chapter 9 about Kitniot. We saw that there's an Ashkenazi custom not to eat rice or other types of foods which are like that. If you look down at the bottom, page 110. Page 110. Jordan, can you read it for us, please, out loud? Number 2.
Number 2, the Sephardic custom. During the era of the Rishonim, all Sephardic communities ate kitniot and rice during Pesach. though they were careful to pick out forbidden grains. Indeed, Rabbi Yosef Karo writes, Beit Yosef 453, that nobody worries about such things except for Ashkenazim. However, some leading Sephardic Aharonim have written that many pious Jews refrain from eating rice during Pesach because of a case in which some wheat was discovered in rice even after it had been checked several times. Pri Chadash Hida. The Jews of Izmir have a custom not to eat rice on Pesach, Lev Hayim 294, and the Jews of Morocco refrain from eating rice and other types of dry kidneyot on Pesach.
Where's Izmir? Izmir. You know where's Morocco, right? North Africa. Where's Izmir?
Next to Morocco?
No.
In Morocco.
I think it's in Turkey, no? Isn't Izmir part of Turkey? It's a
Sounds
city.
like Turkey.
I think it's Turkey, yeah. Go ahead. They have a custom, even though they're Sephardim, they don't eat rice. Go ahead.
Ben Ishchai, year 1, sub 41, states that in Baghdad, many people,
Lay people, meaning average people. Yeah.
many lay people do not eat rice on Pesach, and those who do must first check it 2 or 3 times. Each person should perpetuate his ancestral custom. Where there is a doubt or difficulty in doing so, it is best to consult a rabbinic authority. Certain spices such as cumin, turmeric, and fenugreek often have grains mixed in and should not be eaten without a prior meticulous inspection. Nowadays, rice is stored in the same packing houses as flours and semolina. Therefore, those who eat rice on Pesach must buy packages that are certified kosher for Pesach, and then check the rice thoroughly 3 times. Ahmad
Okay.
Nabar, 162.
Got it? So Sephardim eat rice. Some Sephardim don't. Because there is a danger. Even those who do may, of course, keep their tradition, but they have to check the rice thoroughly. That doesn't have any grains mixed in. Okay? Let's skip ahead to page 113, section 4. The familiar foods included in this custom are, read the list for us, Jordan. Rice.
Rice, alfalfa, peas, millet, sorghum, chickpeas, fenugreek seeds, sunflower seeds, mustard, buckwheat, kusamet, not to be confused with kuzmin, spelt, which is a forbidden cereal grain, cumin, vetch, black-eyed peas, arum, soy, mung beans, lentils, fava, beans, lupin beans, poppy seeds, flax seeds, pulse, caraway, hemp seeds, common beans, Phaceolus vulgaris, sesame seeds, lupin seeds, corn, clover seed, and tamarind fruit. Products made from kitniyot, cornflakes, corn flour, and rice cakes, for example, are also included in the custom. Saffron was originally called karkum in Hebrew and is included in the prohibition. Turmeric, the modern Hebrew karkum, is permitted. Mustard and flaxseed are not kitniyot, but the custom is to forbid them because they grow in pods like kitniyot.
Okay, so you can see there's quite a long list of foods which Ashkenazim do not eat. The worst in Israel is sesame seeds. What do we make out of sesame seeds?
I don't know what it is.
Yeah, but what's more important?
What you make? Tahina.
Tehina. Tehina is made from sesame seeds. Ashkenazim don't eat tehina on Pesach. It's kitniyot. Sephardim do. Hummus also. Hummus is a bean. Hummus is what's that called? What kind of bean is that?
Chickpeas.
Chickpea, exactly. Chickpeas is a type of bean.
What's alfalfa and buckwheat? I thought these were the names of the little rascals.
Of the yeah, of course, Little Rascals. That's right. It's funny. They named their kids after grains. It's funny. They're grain. It's a type of grain. Yeah, yeah. Anyways, it's, there are some people who eat quinoa. Some do not. It's a recent discovery, and some say, how could it be part of this old custom if it didn't have it? So quinoa some ayid, for example. But now the rules regarding kidney, let's turn the page. Look at the top of page 114. Okay, Pinchas, you want to read 114 for us?
This custom. People who adhere to the custom of not eating cannot may keep them in their house during Pesach and derive benefit from them. For example, by not being a we cannot oil.
So let's say I am Ashkenazi. I've told you this a few times. I have in my house a bag of corn. I have in my house a bag of rice. I'm not going to eat it on Pesach. What do I do with it? I can let it be there. It's not chametz. We just don't eat it. So we can keep the kidneyot, and it's not chametz. But we don't eat it. So we don't have to go crazy and think that it's chametz. It's a very interesting status. Okay, there is a whole discussion in the next section about kidneyot oil. Some rabbis are permitting kidneyot oil if they don't come into contact with water. And most oils, like soya oil, in the processing, they don't mix it with any water. And so there are some rabbis nowadays, you can see there's a long footnote, number 5, on page 116, about kidneyot oils. And Rav Melamed is lenient. As you see at the top of page 117, he says, soybean, cottonseed, and canola oils are not included in the prohibition. Many are stringent about soybean and canola oils, but whoever wishes to be lenient may do so. It's a mistake, may do so. The widespread custom regarding cottonseed oils to be lenient. So soy oil, many Ashkenazim do not eat it because it comes from a soybean, but because it's only derived from the bean and there's no water involved whatsoever, many poskim are lenient. Turn the page, the top of page 118. This is a the most discussed halacha that you're going to have over the course of Pesach. The first line. Who can read it for us? Michael, are you? Read page 118 for us. 118.
Lecithin?
Yes, lecithin, exactly.
Lecithin extracted from rapeseed and added to chocolate is not included in the kidneyot prohibition, though some are stringent.
Wow, look, that is such a big question. Until today, people argue about it. And many Ashkenazim are careful about lecithin. Lecithin is derived from rapeseed. Rapeseed is a type of flour that has seeds in it. And it's actually what would they make canola. Canola was made originally in Jordan. Me and you, baby. Canadian canola. It was called canola because in Canada, they made oil from it. For many years, they had the rapeseed, the seeds from this flour, and it was used for engines. It was used as oil as engines because it was poisonous. You couldn't eat it. In Canada, they figured out how to make it not poisonous, and they started to make oil from it. And wow, it's actually very good. It's good for you, better for you than the other oils. So canola oil is extracted from this seed. Now the problem is these little seeds, they look like a legume. They look like it's kidneyot. But some poskim say it's not a legume. And the food itself is poisonous. It's only when you process it and make it into something else that it can be edible. Like lecithin it's used in many chocolates. In Hebrew, I'll write it on the board. Lecithin. Can you imagine what that means?
Lesser the thing.
Right. Or they have, sometimes they write liftit. Liftit is rapeseed. That's these little seeds that come from the flower called rapeseed. It's on what it says on the page here. Lecithin extracted from liftit. So some people say it's not kidneyot, it's not a legume, it was never prohibited. Others are very strict about it. Yange. Yenge. And some are very, and therefore, on many chocolate bars, it'll say, kasher lePesach, usually doesn't say el Pesach, but it'll say, mechil liftit. That means it includes in it, it has in it this stuff, either lecithin or liftit. And for many, many years, I would never eat those chocolates until I learned more, and Rabbi Melamed helped convince me, and he said, this is not kitniot. It's not part of the Ashkenazi custom, and therefore, I have as many chocolates as I want. I can buy chocolates everywhere. Most of the chocolates have liftit. Of course, for those who don't eat liftit, you can find some chocolates which say on them, lelo letitin, or lo mechil liftit. And then you can have them. So chocolate bar, chocolate and candy, keep reading, Michael Aryeh.
Chocolate and candy labeled kosher for Pesach only for those who eat kidneyot are technically permissible even for those who do not eat kidneyot, because the kidneyot in these products are added before Pesach and are batel bero. In addition, these products generally contain kidneyot oils, which according to several leading poskim are not included in the custom to prohibit kidneyot. In practice, however, many people are stringent in this respect, and kosher certification agencies therefore label them as kosher for Pesach only for those who eat kidneyot.
Many rabbis are very angry at the kosher organizations because they write on it, kasher lePesach leochlei kitniyot. Only for those who eat kitniyot. Only Sfardim can eat this food.
It's not true.
Leochlei kitniyot. Well, if all there is lecithin,
Yes.
then why are you calling it leochlei kitniyot? Even people like myself who don't eat kitniyot, we can have it. Like he says in the footnote, he goes into there's many articles written about it, that the amount of kitniyot and the way they include the kitniyot is all mixed in from before Pesach, and it's not really kitniyot anyways. And even if you want to call it kitniyot, it's an extraction from kitniyot without water, and it's only oils, and there's many people that are lenient. There's much room to be lenient about many of the products which say on it, kasher lePesach leochlei kitniyot, even if you don't eat kitniyot. So this label is very cumbersome. But, of course, there is a custom to be stringent on Pesach in many ways, and so there are many people that don't want to take any leniencies, and they won't eat any chocolate unless it's kasher lePesach, and it does not say leochlei kitniyot. It says kasher lePesach, even if, and lo mechil mechil liftit, or lo mechil lecithin, or lo mechil kitniyot. Right, this kitniyot here is what we're discussing, the custom of the Ashkenazim. How far do we have to go? Now, Pinchas, you've been waiting all week very patiently. Section 7. He says, I'm reading from the top of the page, okay? On page 119. Ready? Clearly, the Ashkenaz accustomed to refrain from eating kitniyot cannot be stricter than the prohibition against chametz itself. Therefore, in extenuating circumstances, like drought or famine, leading halachic authorities permitted eating kitniyot. In actuality, rabbis have often disagreed whether the need was pressing enough to permit eating kitniot. Some rabbis were inclined to be lenient, others to be stringent, and still others to permit kitniot to the poor alone, requiring the wealthy to buy other types of foods. In such matters, we must follow the ruling of the accepted local authorities. Turn the page, 120. One who is ill and needs to eat kitniot may do so, even if he is not dangerously ill. For example, one may swallow flaxseed with water as a laxative. One may likewise feed rice to children who need it, though special utensils should be set aside with this. Anytime one acts leniently, the kitniot should be thoroughly inspected to ensure they contain no cereal grains. Pinchas said to me, I am not allowed to eat matzah because of a stomach condition. I'm not allowed to eat any, like my daughter. I told you many times, she's celiac. She can't have any wheat products. What are you going to eat on Pesach? There's only so many potatoes you can eat. So you eat potatoes and potatoes and potatoes.
Pancake.
Pancakes made from flour. From what flour? You have to make it from potato flour, but it's not the same. So the question is, if you're Sfardis, no problem, eat rice, eat millet, eat all these beans, there's plenty of legumes to eat. But if you're Ashkenazi, and you can't eat the grains, and you can't eat the kitniot, how much tomatoes are you going to eat? How many apples and oranges can you eat? You need food. And so, 1 week is difficult. You'd be surprised.
I heard one time from some friend that there was a time way back in Eastern Europe that was this problem. People they were poor and probably they had no potatoes
Yeah.
in the harvest, so
And
they had nothing to eat.
And what did the rabbis do?
I don't know.
So the answer is, we just read it. So some rabbi said, in such circumstances, you're allowed to have kitniot. Everybody knows kitniot is not chametz. It's a custom. We keep the customs. But if there's a big need, so I told my daughter a number of times, if you need to eat kitniot, you can. For someone who is celiac, it makes a lot of sense to be lenient. Unfortunately, I think that my daughter is such a tzaddiket. She's so holy. She never did. She doesn't want to be lenient. She wants to be yenga. She wants to be strict, and she doesn't have kitniot. I tell her she's allowed to, even though we're Ashkenazim, because she has to have enough food to be healthy. But she manages. Nowadays, it's easier and easier to manage. There are a lot of foods without kitniot.
Filter fish have no kitniot.
Gefilte fish is made with fish. Usually they use some kind of flour. It depends what flour they put in there. Many times it's gluten free. Many times it's only with potato flour or something like that.
Let me say when the Rav eat in this week, what does the Rav eat? Like what is the menu of the Rav on the Pesach?
Almost everything except don't have. Of course, it has to be kosher lePesach. No bread, just matzah.
2 lambs, chops.
Of course, lamb chops, steak, chicken, vegetables. I don't eat any rice that week. No rice, but I don't eat much rice during the year either. It's too much carbs, you know. Trying to keep down the belly fat. But so you hear Pinchas, everybody that has a particular medical issue should consult with their rabbi. And this case of people with digestive issues, some rabbis are very lenient when it comes to kitniot, even for Ashkenazim. Of course, if you're Sephardi, there's no question, or there's less of a question. We saw that in Turkey and in Morocco, some even Sephardi communities don't eat kitniot. But, of course, when there's extenuating circumstances, there is room to be lenient. It's always good to end up with a leniency. What's leniency in Chinese? The opposite of yengu. Kansu? Kwansu? No, leniency, something lenient. It's the opposite of yengu. Cantonese is different. What do you say in Mandarin? Where's Aaron when we need him? Kwansu? It's good to end up with a Kwansu for the week. I want to wish you a Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Study your charts, your 40 words. It'll help you in life. Sat Hashem, your Jewish life, at least. Okay. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Let's put all these books back. You can stop the film.